Today I'd like to talk about child soldiers, and I'm going to start off with some good old Wikipedia background as reference on the issue, and I'm going to read it. Please bear with me. Throughout history and in many cultures, children have been involved in military campaigns, trained and used for combat, support roles, or used for tactical advantage as human shields, or for political advantage in propaganda. Some are recruited by force, while others choose to join up. And then it just continues, and then here follows a list of reasons for seeking children out for military recruitment. The global proliferation of light automatic weapons, which children can easily handle. Children are a cheap and accessible resource for military organizations. Children are more willing than adults to fight for non-monetary incentives, such as religion, honor, prestige, revenge, and duty. Several commentators have argued that they are easier to control, deceive, and indoctrinate. Some leaders of armed groups have claimed that children are often remarkably fearless, agile, and hardy. Now, I believe that was a great little introduction to everybody's current favorite fearless child soldier, Greta Thunberg, who was the star attraction at last week's UN Global Climate Summit and whose statements have received far more attention than the actual clear declaration that was signed by 500 scientists, engineers, and stakeholders from 23 countries, stating that there is no climate emergency and that the proposals to address climate change are grievously undermining the economic system, putting lives at risk in countries denied access to affordable, reliable electrical energy. Now, talk about decisions made and actions forced from a position of Western privilege. Now, I've heard her being praised for her bravery, although I must object. Her view requires nothing unusual in the way of bravery. In fact, every day, millions and millions and millions of adults and children regurgitate the same ideas bravely on social media. So I fail to see what makes her views more brave than, say, for instance, yours. Recently, I've been criticized for, as they put it, shaming this girl. Perhaps, but when you create a world where ignorant child soldiers become the ambassadors for adults' geopolitical and climatological talking points, and then you deflect criticism, ostensibly in defense of the child, you are not protecting her. You are callously using her as a human shield to avert the line of fire from yourself. Now, this line of fire, it's a pre-existing phenomenon. The line of fire is not being directed at this child. She's being thrust into the line of fire. So I would reserve my judgment and my outrage at her adult handlers and adult mentors for knowingly and willingly thrusting this child into the line of fire of a vicious and as yet undecided scientific debate. Furthermore, this child soldier has neither the intelligence nor the information to be presented as an authority figure on an issue that the world's smartest, most educated, most experienced scientists are not agreed on. She is not a scientist. Most people don't care because it's an easier form of activism, liking the talking points of a teenager on Facebook, than actually getting off your butt and poring over the data of 500 scientists in 23 countries. And also reading the soppy story of an Asperger's child is more entertaining to you than actually putting in the hard yards, delving into the background, the stories and the contributions of these scientists. Like I said, she's not a scientist. I think she's a walking, talking, living pawn of an agenda to which climate change is merely an accessory. And I've heard her calling adults greedy, but I would urge close scrutiny at what her adult handlers charge for her speaking fees, which are harder to negotiate for speeches done from home, limiting your carbon footprint from behind a keyboard, of course. Also, the origins of the funds for her extensive travels, that must spark some interest in anyone searching for clarity around this issue. And in the meantime, we have this child soldier inspiring millions of other child soldiers, wielding their weapons of light automatic weapons of cell phones on social media and leading them into a war of which they have little understanding beyond the realms of passion and a good excuse for a few well-timed tears and grounds for rising against your parents, as children have been doing since forever. Now look, I'm not a climate change denier. From where I live on the farm, I can see its effects. It appears real to me. Personally, I have been recycling, reusing as much as I possibly and realistically can. I've been driving, perhaps foolishly, a hybrid car for almost a decade now. I avoid the consumerist culture. That is why I've been driving the same car for almost 10 years, and which is a reason why I wear the same outfit in every vlog. I use solar technology and blah blah blah. I'm not trying to convince you of my green living. But as far as the reasons for climate change are concerned, now that is a hugely contested issue without general scientific consensus. And it's in this vague territory that the real movers and shakers of this debate draw the lines, vie for positions and campaign for funds. Greed. Call it what you want. Greed is greed, whether satisfied by big oil or talking points against big oil. The pendulum of virtue signaling determines the favorite of the day, which is, for now, against big oil. So you generate this whole talking point on your cell phone, which is made from, amongst other things, petroleum byproducts. And you do this from your home, which is made from, amongst other things, petroleum byproducts. But you know what? That's a whole new discussion for another vlog, and I don't want to digress from the premise of this talk, which is Greta Thunberg, the child soldier. She is not a saint. She is a child, and she is funded, and she is prescribed, and she is controlled, and she is useful, and she's being thrust into the line of fire. And if her opinions, her juvenile opinions, are her own, the agendas that drive them, dictate them, and feed them certainly aren't. This child soldier, she seems unhappy. I think she would be happier just being a child.